Hello, and welcome to Autism Network Scotland's new vlog in conversation with Neil. This afternoon, we're having a conversation with David Nicholson about Understanding Autism Campaign that he's working on and how it may help improve an individual's mental health. So, good morning, David.
Good morning.
I understand that you're involved in the Understanding Autism project. I think it's Inspiring Scotland that we're funded to do it. And could you tell us a bit more about that and its aims and things? And
well, I'm on the steering committee for the Understanding Autism campaign, and I think what one of the big aims of this campaign is to create great awareness of autism amongst the wider population, and to get a greater sense of acceptance, and also so that autistic people like ourselves can feel more included within Scottish society. So I think that's, to keep that concise, it's about raising awareness amongst the general population, creating more acceptance of autism in all areas of society, and also to make sure that autistic people feel genuinely accepted by the population and indeed across all of society.
That's great. And sort of the other question I had was, how do you think, in what ways do you think the Understanding Autism and the greater awareness about the public will help improve autistic individuals' mental health and mental well-being, if it will indeed?
Well, you want to, one of the aims, I think, and what I'll put on a personal note, what I want this campaign to do is to make the general population, people who are neurotypical, realise that autistic people are not, we might be different, but that's okay. It's about people trying to sell, accept difference. There's too many people out there still in society who seem to run away or seem to be scared when they see people who are different. And that shouldn't be the case. So if there's one thing I want to see from this campaign, is for neurotypical people and for the general population to celebrate people who may be different, and also to realise and to view people who are autistic in a more positive light, not see the negatives but see the positives as well.
Somewhere, I mean, do you think we can tie that in nicely with a movement that's gaining some momentum within the autistic community? That idea of we are all neurodiverse. There isn't an autistic community and a typical community. It's just a community which is neurodiverse, and all neurological conditions fit somewhere within this community.
So that's a good question. I think there's definitely a place for that. I think everybody in society, I suppose, no one individual is the same, and I think we've all got a duty to do more to recognise that and to celebrate that, because if everybody was the same, the world and society would be a very boring place. So yeah, I think we need to have a society that is accepting of everybody's differences and neurological differences and so on.
That's ideal. That's absolutely brilliant. So do you feel, I suppose my final question would be, do you feel the message is getting out? Do you feel that, I hate to use the word normal, I prefer neurotypical, the neurotypical population is more understanding and more willing to accept autistic people? Do you feel that actual sort of message is getting there and resonating with individuals?
It's compared to when I was diagnosed at the age of 18. That was 12 years ago. We've made a lot of progress. I think there's a lot more people who know about autism, what it entails. So there's been progress on that front. But the level of understanding and how people can support people who are autistic, there certainly needs to be more improvements made there. So we are getting there. If on a personal note, if I look back to when I was diagnosed to now, there's been some improvements, but a long way to go. What I would like to say is that there should be absolutely no go areas for people who are autistic in Scottish society. So from politics to music to education to employment, every single sector in society should have open doors for people who are autistic, and that society should be able to celebrate and to embrace the talents that people who are autistic have. And I think that's a message that has to be pushed across Scotland, and I'm hoping this Understanding Autism campaign will certainly help in doing that.
That's great. So, just trying to think what I was going to ask. So do you think there's more we can do to advocate to open up sectors? And if so, what should we be doing, or what can other autistic people do to get that message out there and to say, look, you've got to celebrate more I suppose what I'm saying is celebrate more the positives and yes, obviously autism can be difficult for people to deal with, especially if you're lower down the spectrum. But what do we need to do to celebrate the positives in the areas where autistic people are maybe at an advantage to a company or to an employer or to a university compared to a neurotypical?
Well, I think we need to, have people, we need to have the talents of people who are autistic out there, visible. And certainly that's what I'm quite keen to do with my own music, is to use my music to raise awareness of autism and to say that being autistic is no barrier to achieving success. So for me, that's what I'm wanting to do with my music, get out there and show people that I might be different but can still succeed. And I'm hoping that can open doors and break down barriers, particularly in the traditional music scene in Scotland. So it's about getting out there. I think it's becoming visible. That's very important. Getting out, going into schools, colleges, universities, places of employment, doing presentations, and I think if that can be done via people who are autistic, I think that can be very, very powerful. Because you have non-autistic people who go out and do autism awareness courses and whatnot. But if you can hear the voices of those who are actually autistic across the spectrum, that would help to break down barriers across all areas of society. So having people who are autistic visible, highly visible, across all areas of society would make a huge, huge difference. I can't emphasise that enough. It would make a big difference, and I'm keen to see, hopefully through this Understanding Autism campaign, hopefully that will be achievable.
Well, I mean, that's all I've really got to ask you about. Was there anything else you wanted to chat about?
Well, I think that's been very good.
I'll just wrap up then and say, well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me this morning, and it's certainly been very interesting.